Do share it with your friends and family members so that they too can get knowledge about it. Saturn's rings are disappearing. Yes, according to a NASA report, Saturn is going to look like this by March 2025, which NASA has confirmed by saying that Saturn's rings are going to be completely invisible. Which basically means those rings that have been identifying Saturn for millions of years, those rings that used to use Saturn like a cheat code to identify a nursery kid out of all the other planets, those rings are now going to disappear. But how? Are there some events happening there that shouldn't be happening? Well, NASA thinks yes, there is a possibility. Because coincidentally, or at the root of this problem, Saturn's two moons, Enceladus and Titan, and NASA, believes that life can exist on them. So is there any intelligent life responsible for this bad scene of Saturn? Well, let's keep this thought in the parking lot for a while and focus on one very interesting thing. Let's take a closer look at these three images taken by NASA. These were taken in different years. You can see that in the first image, some faint holes are visible on Saturn's rings. And then, after about 25 years, in this image from 2004, those holes are somehow disappearing. And then suddenly, after the next 5 years, in 2009, those holes suddenly reappear. Which means something fishy is definitely going on with Saturn's rings. In fact, NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center scientist Dr. James O'Donoghue had recently revealed in 2018 that, yes, NASA's teams knew from the beginning that Saturn's rings were disappearing. But because Voyager 1 and 2 missions continued to study for 3 decades, the estimated deadline for that event was announced about 300 million years later. That's why NASA never made a fuss about it. But after this, due to increasing fascination, NASA then planned a new dedicated mission to study Jupiter and Saturn separately, called Cassini. And liftoff of the Cassini spacecraft on a billion-mile trek to Saturn. And it was this mission that raised a major alarm about Saturn's rings. Data from the Cassini mission showed that the holes in Saturn's rings are forming due to a unique destructive phenomenon that will swallow up all the rings of Saturn, not in the next 300 million years, but 3 times faster, in the next 100 million years. So why is NASA now saying that Saturn's rings are going to disappear by 2025? Well, you will understand the whole story in a while, but before that, in 2004, when Cassini was launched and reached Saturn after a while, NASA saw that Saturn's rings were made up of majorly water and ice stones. You may already know this, but then they discovered that the rings were made up of water and ice. And this water, which is made up of that ice water, is rapidly raining on Saturn in the form of rain. According to NASA, this rain is so fast that in every small area of it, literally an Olympic-sized swimming pool is being filled in half an hour. But unlike Earth, there is no water cycle system here. It is not happening here that there is an ocean on Saturn that is raining on it again like the water cycle on Earth. Here its rings are melting and raining on it. And unfortunately, there is no going back after that. But interestingly, you know what? Saturn is responsible for the melting of Saturn's ice. And the reason behind this is also quite interesting. Saturn's hand is behind the melting of Saturn's rings, as if he wants to get rid of his unique gift. See, the thing is, ultraviolet light coming from the sun, when it falls on the snowy pieces present in Saturn's rings, then with its energy, the snowy H2O or water molecules present in the ring, by applying an extra hydrogen ion, they convert themselves into hydronium ions. Now normally, these small hydronium ions could have dispersed anywhere in the outer space. But as you know, electric charge and magnetism are 2 spectrums of the same electromagnetic wave. So just because of this, these charged hydronium ions start attracting towards Saturn's massive magnetic field. And with that, by throwing H+ ions out, they start raining water on Saturn. And now what's more, a detailed study says that whatever is happening on Saturn is a never-ending phenomenon. And that's why, with every passing second, Saturn's rings are disappearing one by one.